my 1985 Rolls-Royce Silver Spur. They are all hand-built. This particular model in 1985, they made it from 1980 to 1989. The same style with slight modifications, but basically the same. In 1985, they only made 651 of these worldwide. As you can see, of course, the iconic Rolls-Royce emblem and the Flying Lady, or also known as the Spirit of Ecstasy. It's all original. The paint is original.
Do you know what kind of color the paint is? Do you know what they call it or no?
No, I don't.
No? Okay.
I'm sure I could look it up.
Right.
But they have the paint number and the style and everything underneath the hood. Also in the door frame here, since these are all handmade, I can actually research who actually built this car, when it was built, when the order was put in, and there's the identifying plate in the door frame that it was made in, or where it was made in England, in the Crewe, I'm sorry. All of this woodwork is all real wood. As you can see over the time from the sun and everything, the veneer has cracked a little bit and a little bit of bleaching, but this can all be removed and refinished and brought back to brand new without any problem because it is real wood. The carpets are real sheepskin, and they're thick and plush and really comfortable. The footstools are here for passengers, so that they don't have to stress their feet at all sitting in the back. Here are the tray tables. Now normally if somebody owned a car like this, they would more times have a driver than drive it themselves. So they would be in the back doing business or
Smoking cigars
and chatting with their co-workers. Each side of the back door has a cigar lighter and cigarette ashtray. What else can I tell you?
No, it has power windows. Like, was that?
It's all power windows, power front seats, power steering. It does have air conditioning. The hydraulic system in this car is very unique to any car. You don't have a typical braking system that you have on another car where you would have the car shut off and put it in neutral, roll forward, you could step on the brake and stop. This is run by a pressure pump in the engine, so if the engine is actually shut off, this car has no brakes. So you have to be very careful if you're flatbedding it or if you're towing it. You would never tow a car like this, it would always be flatbedded. But the driver would have to know not to tip the flatbed back and get in there and put it in neutral, because when he goes to step on the brake to stop, he's not going to have a brake and he's going to smash into whatever is behind him. So, and most people would not know that.
Nice, thank you.
This is the hydraulic system. This does not take regular brake fluid. This is the hydraulic system for the back suspension of the car and the brake system. They run in conjunction with each other. It only takes mineral oil. You cannot put anything in here except mineral oil, or it will ruin the entire system. Another thing that people don't know when they're buying a car like this to try to restore it, or just want it for, you know, their own personal use, if you don't know that and you try to put brake fluid in here, you're looking at probably a $10,000 job to fix the braking system. Now when you initially start this car, if it's been sitting overnight, you turn the key on and the pressure lights will come on. Now because I just moved the car, these two lights are out. But if you start the car first thing in the morning, these two lights can take up to 30 seconds to turn off. And that's recharging, or charging I should say, the pressure system for the brakes. If these lights are on, it is not safe to drive the car. And it specifically even says here on the dashboard how important it is, brake level mineral oil. It's only mineral oil. You have your oil level, which is unique to this as well. There's a button here that says oil level. The gas gauge doubles as a gas gauge and an oil level reader. So while you're driving, if you're concerned about the oil level or want to check the oil level, all you have to do is push this button and that gauge will switch from gas to oil, and it will tell you what the oil level is. That's why there's a little orange mark right there. That's the low mark for the oil. So if you push that button and that needle does not go past that orange mark, your oil is low. It's low anyway, but it's supposed to be no lower than that orange mark.
Nice.
It has climate control, which is right there. It's just a very simple climate control. These dials here are for the driver's side and passenger side, from heat to cold. I'm sorry, lower and upper vents, the defrost vent or the floor vent or these dashboard vents.
Now you said everything is pretty much made out of metal, or?
Yeah, these vents here, that's all metal. These vent closures are all metal. Most of the knobs, there's very, very little plastic in this car. This car overall weighs 6,100 pounds, and the engine is a 6.7 liter V8, which has 220 horsepower. But this car is not made for speed in any way whatsoever. 220 horsepower to push a 6,100 pound vehicle is not much horsepower.
Yeah.
So it's a cruising vehicle. It's not a vehicle for speed. The controls in between the seats. The upper two controls are for the windows. Those adjust the windows side view mirrors. Side view mirrors. These adjust the seats, the height, back and front can be raised or lowered, and then of course forward and back. The armrests, which of course are retractable, and there's a little storage compartment there for change and your wallet or whatever else it is that you want to keep there. There's also storage in the back armrest. This comes down, and then you have storage in here, and even this has a little wood accent trim on it. You have your vanity mirrors on the side with your map lights and your vanity lights. They're both on each side. This sensor in the top here is actually a temperature sensor for the climate control for the car. And,
like for the inside?
For the inside, it senses the temperature of the car, so the climate control knows when it's reached temperature, and then it'll automatically adjust the fan level up and down like it does on common cars today. In 1985, that wasn't very common. Now this car, the prior owner had put these tires on this car. This car really should have white wall tires on it. I guess they decided they didn't want to pay for the more expensive tires, but these tires are really not designed for this car because of the weight of the car. You need a much higher rated speed tire so that you have the stiff sidewalls, so that when you're turning you don't get that roll effect, or you don't lean as much as you would in a less slower rated tire. This is actually supposed to have a V-rated tire on it minimum, and that makes a big difference in the ride of the car.
Now, what about the windows? Do they come like that?
The tinting, I believe, that was aftermarket. I believe the window was tinted. You have to remember, this car is designed in England, where they really don't have a hot, desert climate or Florida climate or anything like that. So, it would probably be an additional order to do something like that. And there was also some design differences between the European designed cars and the cars that were going to be shipped to the U.S. One actually has a Bosch fuel injection system, whereas a lot of the ones that are in England have a dual carburetor system. So that was another difference between the English designed cars and the ones that were built for the U.S. And also, of course, one of the other major differences is the driver's side is on the left on an American car and it's on the right on a European car. The top on the car is actually called Everflex. It's a type of vinyl that is more expensive, obviously, than regular vinyl. It holds up a little bit better. They use it for the convertible tops and for the hard tops. This is a hard top, and they just glue it to the hard top. They used to use something called Union cloth. They started using Everflex between the 60s and the 80s because it was more durable. Prior to that, they used something called Union cloth, which deteriorated pretty rapidly and didn't really last very long. So then they switched over to this, and this obviously is much more durable. This is a 34-year-old car, and it looks like brand new. This particular vehicle, back in 1985, when it was brand new, your average car was probably about $6,000 or $7,000. This car had to be ordered. It took about 4 months to get it, from time of ordering to delivery, up to 6 months, and it cost $109,000 back in 1985, brand new.
All right, Theo. Thank you for showing us your 1985 Rolls-Royce. I enjoyed it. I'm hoping the viewers will enjoy it as well.
I hope so as well.
Thank you for your information on it as well. Very good information. Let me know what you guys think down below. Anyway, so if you enjoyed this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you guys next time.